You want to, like, you can do a separate video-esque thing.
Hi, I'm Ethan.
I'm Warren.
I run this channel. I've made all the videos so far. We're just trying something new. Super nervous. Just the worst possible time. We're just using a blank wall for our background. My hand is broken. Everything's fine.
I'm doing fine.
It's okay. Warren's fine. Anyway, just new format. Post comments. See, like, tell us what you want. Whatever. Mm. It's not. It's not even a movie thing. Mm-hmm. But that was always the plan. Was to make do multimedia stuff. Like, obviously, film is easy. Games are easy. I really love comics as well, but that's kind of harder. I even contemplated doing crappy voiceover and showing pages and stuff. But anyway, this is a new format. It's easier. Hopefully, if nothing else, it'll get me to actually produce content and
constantly, because this is a much easier. Yeah, this is a much easier editing setup.
So, not trying to be lazy, not trying to shove off the old format, not trying to do anything like that. This is just something that's easier, quicker, and hopefully just gets more out. So,
and it lets you actually talk about what you want to talk about, and gives you a situation to where you can just spill out what you think.
Yeah, and I can still edit. Obviously, there's this general region. I'll probably put something there to give an example. Us. But yeah, it gives just a little space to edit during. But anyway, enjoy or don't, and tell me that it's crappy, and I'll stop doing it.
Yep, this is what it's all meant. It's Warren.
Ethan. So Warren.
Yeah.
What did you think of Firewatch? General thoughts?
Well, overall with Firewatch, it was by Campo Santo, which was a production or a game studio that I actually knew about, and I knew about this game for a few years before it came out. Lead artist for Firewatch was Ali Moss, which is a guy, Ali Moss, something like that, and he does a bunch of different. I follow his work pretty well. I'm a graphic designer, so his stuff is really cool to look at and take inspiration from. A lot of the people came from really big studios. I think a few people on that actual game worked on, I think they were from Infinity Ward. I might be wrong there, but a few of them came from big AAA companies, and they started this game, or they started the studio, and this is their first game. And surprisingly, it didn't take a lot of stuff from the AAA titles. It's very much like Gone Home, if you ever played that. Yeah, very much of a, I hate saying it, a walking simulator of it, but
yeah, it's super stripped down. Because I even remember them saying they were like, "Oh, we're not gonna do lip syncing. We're not gonna have actual cutscenes because we don't want to. We don't want to take the time and the budget to do that."
They
can focus on other things.
Again, Ali Moss is a fantastic artist, and they took his work and basically put you in it, and I like that a lot. So artwork and just aesthetic overall is fantastic for it.
Yeah, in general, I don't normally get into this, but since it's so simplified and the story is pretty simple, it's not like it's conflicting. It's not like Dark Souls level or Final Fantasy levels of just over detail for this really simple thing that they're telling.
Did you
hard cut? I'm fine with it.
I like it a lot.
I guess just other random things to touch on. It's Unity, right?
It's Unity. Which
we played PS4 version.
PS4 version, which if anyone knows about it, PS4 version. PS4 version, not that it's a real big problem, is Unity doesn't really work well on consoles, so we did have a few glitches. And this game is...
It only crashed all 3 times that I played it.
Oh yeah, this game is... Since the game came out, I think we played it 3 separate times. This is one of the games to where I don't care too much about frame rate drops or glitches every once in a while, because I understand it's part of the medium. Things happen. Sometimes you get to see the strings that hold up the spaceship. But this game is the one thing that when the game glitched out on me, or the floor disappeared, or just weird things happen, it actually frustrated me, and it actually took me out of the experience. Because again, the artwork and the whole world you're in, you get so immersed into.
I can usually distance myself from it, but even I had a little bit of trouble with it.
Yeah, I can get very immersed into the games, especially something that did such a good job like this one.
Yeah, but again, just that's coming from a guy that the first time I watched 2001 was on a phone, and I still got everything from it. Like, I still enjoyed it.
Right.
When I did the recent video on it, I watched it kind of legit, but still, again, since we're just talking generally, I really enjoy its pacing and like its length.
Yeah,
like it feels perfect.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Nice. It's nice that
it lets you sit in it.
Yeah, like even the options that you're given, like there's a section where there's 3 things of food, and like you're only supposed to take one, obviously, but if you take all 3, there's literally just a day that you walking to the toilet, and Delilah is just like getting on you about taking it. Like it's nice that it's there. Like it didn't have to be, but like, you know, it reaffirmed your choice. Hopefully, everyone knows.
I would say
if you're watching
this video, there is going to be spoilers. We're talking about the overall analysis of the game.
Yeah.
If you've watched any of Ethan's previous videos, he talks about the plot in full because that's the only way you can really get an analysis from it. So you can't really be upset this time around if we spoil the story for you. So please go play Firewatch first. It's an amazing game.
Yeah, I guess some amazing graphic that I'll put 5 minutes into right now. So any other general random?
No. If we're gonna dive right into analysis and we're kind of done with the overall aesthetic part of it.
Yeah.
If I can give one thing I didn't like about the game, its overall aesthetic, I didn't like the fact that besides the turtle in it that I never actually get to see.
I never did.
Yeah.
I'll see the editing.
Wildlife. And I wish the world felt more alive. It felt like I was walking through a painting most of the time.
Yeah.
I never felt like I was really living in a forest. That's the only thing I can care about.
Yeah, more wildlife would have made it feel good. Because obviously, like, leaves falling off the trees and, like, general, like, little details and, like, how the rocks are formed and everything. And, like, you just finding, like, those just random things, like the acorns and crap in the caches, like, it adds to that. So you would think that they would put, like, a squirrel or 2 or something.
Just birds flying. Or, like, just walking, like, when you walk through the grass or whatever, birds fly or something, or a little bit more feedback to the world.
That's purely aesthetically. We're not like it ruins the story that there's no wildlife in this world. Like, not at all. We'll do a weird transition to spoilers fully now.
Spoiler right here. Okay.
I'm not gonna put it there. If nothing else, I'll leave this in, and people will just be like, "Hey."
Yeah.
He left it in. And I'll probably leave this in so they're like, hey! So I have notes, just because I like to do that.
I don't have notes. I have a good chunk of what I want to say just off the top of my head, and I'll kind of flow with it. But since you have notes, you can kind of start us off.
One of the biggest motifs that I found was like the extensive love and doing for others. And again, just to clarify, this is groundwork for the actual like meaning of the work. Like I hate it when people say theme and then they're like, there's themes of love and survival and feminism. Like say if we were talking about Fury Road or something like that. Because it's like, but the main thing is survival. And then they build off of that, and like the offspring and like the women, like that's a huge topic. That's an idea that's brought up. But when you wrap all that together and put it in a nice package, like that's the bulk of the thing. That's what's trying to be said. Yeah. The fact that you bring them together is what's artistic. So anyway, so again, this is just general stuff, and then we'll put a pin in it, I guess, until
we go further into the plot.
Yeah, basically.
Makes sense.
The extensive love and doing for others, because essentially, say with Henry, his thing is doing for his wife and like going above and beyond, and like, of course, those first couple of dialogue options, and I'll try to put them up.
You're talking about the intro with the like text adventure kind of beginning.
Basically. So a lot of that directly deals with what you're willing to do for her. And of course, like your choice is just, I mean, it's binary. Like it usually leads to the same thing. Like she always gets Alzheimer's, but that's just like the peak of that is just like, how would you deal with that? Because it's like such a bad situation where it's like this person is eventually not even going to be like a shell of what they once were.
Right.
Like, they're going to be just completely...
And it lets you decide what you do between getting DUI, going out drinking, doing these things, doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think that it inherently says this. It's just something that I think about, but it's like, do you actually love the person? Like, will you always do for this person no matter what? Or if they're not who they once were, like,
right. Do you still
is it even worth it? Like, should you keep going? Because, like, it's not that person. Like, it just is not.
It's a shell.
Obviously, that's, like, the fever pitch of that little section of things. And that's Henry's deal. Like, Delilah, even though you don't learn it until way later, like, she has a relationship with a man. She keeps going after other men for validation or for some sort of...
I see what you mean now. Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's Goodwin, which, again, that's like the three main characters that we'll probably be talking about.
Henry, Delilah, Ned.
Goodwin. Yeah, Ned.
Ned Goodwin, and then his son, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian?
So, and then Ned's thing is that he's, like, really, at least, like, through a lot of the text and through a lot of what he says later on and things that are implied, it's not that he doesn't love his son, it's that he wasn't really wanted, and since his wife died or left, I forget.
I don't remember.
But since the other parent is out of the picture.
Yeah.
He's questioning if he actually wants this child, and like it's also heavily implied that he's like trying to change what he is like internally, like he's wanting his child to like represent him.
Right. Go hiking, be more macho. Instead
of being a big nerd.
Yeah, which you find throughout the game through context clues and just different stuff you find about him.
Yeah,
he's into Dungeons and Dragons. He's a kid that plays games. He's the quintessential nerd of the 80s, which that's when the game takes place. That's a kind of period piece. It's a good, not plot device, but it's a good setup for things like you don't have telephone, you don't have communication. So it's not a big deal, but it takes you back far enough to where you can get rid of those like things that could ruin the immersion or ruin the like idea of it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's like a really great groundwork. And I say groundwork, but a lot of that information isn't doled out until much later in the thing, into the game, like, however you're taking it. But all those things are still there. And like that extent of like what you're willing to actually do for somebody, especially with Henry and Goodwin, it's just well done. And it'll piggyback into something else, so unless you have something else to say.
No, I'm good. You've kind of summed it all up.
The extensive love is like one of the biggest things. The next thing is definitely distractions. Like that's the thing.
That's why you're at doing a Firewatch job, is it's your distraction from your life, and it gives you a chance to go away for the summer. That's what everyone out there is doing.
Yeah,
everyone that goes out to be a Firewatch, you learn between Ned, Delilah, Henry. They all go out there to find distractions from what they're doing with their lives.
Like, my wife is dead. My wife is no longer
with me
in the picture. Yeah, because they could have done this with anything, really. But it just strengthens it so much that it is that job. It's like for a very limited part of the year,
only
like,
a summer,
very secluded. Like people already like naturally go out into the woods just to like get away from everything. Like it's the perfect visual, and like your possible relationship with Delilah also just strengthens that.
Just another distraction from what you're doing.
And so I don't want to think about my wife. I don't want to think about my problem. I'm either just going to be friends with this person or I'm going to hit on them.
Right.
And that's
because you have the choice.
Yeah, that's the best choice, just to kind of go on like a little sidebar. The best choice to me in a game, obviously, because like you can't, it would be so hard to actually have something that's like completely different from beginning to end based on like key choices or even like little things. So with that, it's like just the implications of lines, because like I'll try to put some examples up or put some in, but it's like there'll be a conversation and say if Henry and Delilah just as friends have 5 lines, it's literally just 2 extra lines inserted.
Right.
But the implication of the entire conversation changes because of that.
Those 2 extra lines, and then when you have
so good. And that's the other thing I'll go ahead and say. Like finding the notes and you're trying to piece together this mystery, like it's just nothing.
Well, yeah,
like,
even the notes, even the hitchhiker that's gone missing, not hitchhiker, the hiker that's gone missing, you think that's going to play into a big deal, or the notes of the 2 guys. Yeah, nothing. Can we, are we done with distraction?
No, I mean,
okay.
Say whatever.
Okay, just the other thing with distraction is also when you find out, eventually the thing with Ned, the big twist at the end, because the whole plot and the whole mystery doesn't matter.
Never pans out.
Never pans out, never a big thing. It's just someone trying to freak you out the whole time. Once you go back to Ned's hideout, he's trying to distract himself the entire time in his hideaway, doing nothing but building more stuff. Yeah, tinkering, reading books.
Like, just trying to calm his nerves. Like, when he's not being unparanoid, which is actually my next note. Like, when he's not just trying to soothe his paranoia, it's like just pure distraction.
Yeah, all just working, just tinkering, just reading. And he does a thing just like Henry. I keep wanting to call him Harry.
She calls him Hank in the
game. I know. And it's just a cool parallel that he also sits on the porch. He sits on his porch drinking beer and watching the sunset. Yeah. Again, reflecting that Ned and Henry.
It's a nice parallel.
Yeah. Him and Henry do this, are not that much different.
Yeah.
Yeah, showing them they kind of came there, they're kind of doing the same things.
Yeah, I would say comparing and contrasting, like, them two, or just, like, seeing their parallel is, like, the bulk of...
And their the decisions they made to do what they did.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, why, and... this is a quick note. I would say everything is pretty ambiguous just for the purpose of, like, making them feel realistic. And, like, Delilah, obviously, Delilah is definitely pushing her guilt onto Goodwin. Like, oh, I didn't announce this thing, so of course he killed his son.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
She feels guilty because she didn't report him or something, didn't say Brian was there, and so... she wants all that blame to go away from her and be completely Ned murdered Brian. Ned is trying to get away from it. He's trying to hide his guilt.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's ambiguous. They give pretty good hints. I don't feel like Ned killed Brian.
Definitely not on purpose.
Yeah, definitely not on purpose, and he's definitely not hiding from it because he's scared of police, and he's not hiding from it because he's scared of...
He's literally just scared of facing his own.
Yeah, he's scared to go back to...
Whatever that would be. There's no allusion to, like, anyone's religion or anything like that, but, like, whatever higher punishment or whatever, like, he's going to have to deal with. He just wants to not deal with that.
Because, like, the Firewatch position is to be a distraction. So, going back to the real world, you end your distraction. Just
to say real quick before, just in case I forget to say it later, since we've already talked about the Firewatch position and everything.
Yeah.
It's also, like, there's even a line at the end, and again, I'll try to pull it from Delilah, where she's like, she basically makes an allusion to, like, them coming to grips with everything and having to go back and, like, face their problems, like, is the same thing with the fire. Is that, like, you can stave it off, like, you can call it in, like, you can try to get it fixed, but, like, it's gonna grow, like, eventually it's gonna get out of hand.
Yeah, and, like, we don't have any actual power in the situation.
Yeah, like,
we can just report. We observe and report.
Yeah, the thing is gonna happen. Like, you're gonna have to deal with it. And, like, again, and that's where, like, Goodwin, it implies that he's still gonna run off, and he's just gonna go do the same thing somewhere else.
Yeah, he's gonna go deeper into the forest.
And with Henry, and again, this is where, like, player choice matters so much, is that either the implication based on what you did is that you're either gonna keep distracting yourself, and you're gonna seek after Delilah or, like, a similar thing, or you're gonna go ahead and just hit it head on. Like, it still doesn't give you, like, a solid, like, oh, this is my plan, this is Henry's plan. It's just like, I'm gonna have to deal with this now. This summer is over. Like, all this paranoia, all this, like, caring about these notes, like, trying to piece together and get revenge on these girls, and then trying to, like, workshop that in with this, like, what seems to imply that it's a government conspiracy, like X-Files type of situation.
Yeah.
And just all of that coming together and just meaning absolutely nothing.
Yeah, / murder mystery with the girls, because
exactly.
The whole girls' arc.
Yeah, that's such a great moment. She was just like, oh, they were found, and they were, like, or they were messing around with somebody's tractor.
Yeah, it's like, oh. And I love the responses you can give is like, phew, dang it. He doesn't freak out about it or anything. He's just relieved that he's not in trouble now.
Yeah. Goodwin paranoid of being caught, facing his own guilt. Henry paranoid of being caught in the act of something. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That Henry, like, it's...
Henry's, like, again, he's your character, and he's kind of freaked out. The real paranoia comes from Delilah.
First video. It doesn't matter. Yeah, sorry, we're back. I need a larger SD card.
Delilah was much more overt and much louder about it.
Yeah. And we were saying, because she uses, like, drinking and, like, she doesn't report half of the things that's going on because she's just like, we'll put that off. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm just here to be distracted.
Because you usually don't get any reactions out of things like that. Yeah, because you're so deep in there, just saying, I don't want to report that, or I don't want to do that. Yeah. Whatever. It usually works out for you because there's no one from miles away. But when it turns out there's someone, bugging your walkie-talkie and listening to you the whole time, it's a real, like, system shock to her.
That's so good. Sorry, just to say. Like, because that's writing that I like, honestly, like, just to say, is, like, taking, like, a group of, like, core characters, having them all deal with the same issue, but different circumstances,
different personalities,
different reasons, like they are different characters, they're just happening to be going through this thing, and then just, like,
seeing how they
seeing
react.
those branching paths, and, like, comparing and contrasting, like, and even if you don't, like, I've said so many times, like, I feel like the point of art is just either introspection or empathy. Right. So even if you can't fully understand someone's situation or be a part of that story, like, you'll still understand someone else's, because like
you get perspective.
They all feel real. Like that tape at the end when Goodwin is basically just like confessing and kind of like apologizing for just like
messing with them.
Yeah, messing with them. He's like, I really didn't mean to, sorry.
I'm just trying to get you off my trail. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't see you at the cave.
Yeah, it feels so real. Like, that moment of just like, I was so paranoid that I just like happened to see you, and you just happened to be close to this cave, even though like I have the only key to it, like all this stuff, like that's what sets up the rest of the event. Yeah. Oh, let's talk about the ending.
I had mixed feelings about it at first, because once you get, again, I play games on a more emotional level and a more immersed level than, say, Ethan. You normally go for more analytics.
I think it's because I took my pain pill.
I love when you do that. And I was expecting for this giant crescendo of an event, either being chased by the fires, something more adrenaline pumping, which I don't know why I really expected it from a game so...
where the most exciting thing that happens is that you
fall. I don't know why I expected so much more out of it. So at first I felt let down by the ending. The ending felt like a very like bad thud of an ending, where you just don't get to see Delilah. You find out she just left you, and you just get back. Yeah, you just get into your helicopter and you go. None of that stuff being real, which the game is kind of set up to the point to where if the whole conspiracy thing or the murder mystery thing actually became real,
it'd be so stupid.
And I would hate it for that. It would be such a cheesy ending. Yeah. But the way they ended it, where nothing really mattered, but you got to learn about yourself, and you got that distraction. And so the ending they have, after like thinking about it more and more, I really like it.
Yeah, I love that it's bold-faced. Like, it literally is just like, you're thinking about all these things, and you're like, what's going to happen when I get in this helicopter? Fade to black. Or not even fade to black, like, hard cut to black. And, like, Campo Santo Studios, like, whatever. Like, it's so good. Like, obviously, I agree with everything you just said. Yeah. And, like...
We've talked about it. We've talked about it a lot.
Yeah, we basically had this full conversation already. Yeah. If that will...
Show up
fairly well.
He has a lot of really good notes, and then he has like the last like quarter of it is just his left hand writing.
It's so bad. Like, I can't even. I don't know what I'm gonna say when I get to it. Was there anything else that you had to say on the ending?
No, I just loved the ending, and I love the conversation you had with Delilah, even though you don't get to see Delilah. Which again,
it's always good
you weren't going
because you were the distraction. Like, if you're just friends, or if you pursued that relationship, and at the end you're like, so are we gonna see each other? Yeah. And she's just like, no. Like, again, it's just that ultimate stamp of just like, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter. Yeah. Like, you meant nothing to her. You were just another, whatever. Like, the equivalent of a notch on the belt emotionally. Just like, oh.
Yeah, she's just another, you're just another thing for her. And she's gonna find some other job and find probably some other guy to talk to and have these same conversations with.
Which still pissed me off that you never, like, did anything with the fishing rod. Like, all you could do was store it.
Nothing matters. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
It was all distractions.
It didn't matter. No, now we're getting to like, we're getting to like, oh, and the phantom pain. Yeah, the whole last third of the game isn't there because like, that's our phantom pain. It's like, no, that wasn't purposeful. You were there to fish as a character, but gameplay wise, like, you were obviously supposed to see that clipboard as soon as you walked out.
Yeah.
Even things like D having a random conversation about you, and like you overhear it, and like you can interrupt it or not, like that never comes back into play. No. Like it's never implied that it was anybody. It was just like...
Probably not even anything important. It's just a thing you overheard and the thing you got overly defensive about.
Yeah,
because again,
exactly.
it's Delilah's
which would happen in real life.
Yeah, that's Delilah's character. That's how she... That's kind of who she is.
Like, I just got a new job, and like, you know, you always freak out about that stuff. Like, obviously, I had to take off for this, just because I can't perform my job. But like, even like the littlest intonation in somebody's voice implying that like,
you just if you hear your name,
oh, you're not coming in today because your hand is broken and you can't physically do your job. Well, I guess we'll just see you next week. And it's like that. I guess I'm just like,
yeah, it freaks you out and it gets you paranoid. No one's really looking at you.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, even there's another great moment that I love too. And again, I'll just cut this somewhere else. Is like you see you see an earthquake detector. Like that's what it is. And then you talk about it. It's even labeled like that. Yeah. And you're like on the HUD. And they're like, oh, but it could be a lie detector. And then the label changes, and you're just like,
oh, yeah, I never saw
campsite.
That. No,
yeah, in the campsite, if you radio in.
Oh.
It's neat. Again, that's such a great moment, because like the whole thing, he's like, well, they're just taking soil samples and checking all this stuff, and like, then there's just random notes about us and like some other people, and then they just build on the like, oh, then what are they doing?
They took the one thing in it, yeah.
Yeah, like, I cannot read this at all.
I feel like we didn't capitalize or talk about like just Brian and Ned's relationship at all. It's a good thing that if we miss anything that you have comment responses that we can talk about later.
Of course we can address,
Brian and Ned relationship overall in general is a typical overbearing or just overpowering dad and a son who wants to do his own thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of suggests or whatever that Ned brought Brian out there even though he wasn't supposed to try to like man him up.
Oh yeah, they say it straight up. Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember.
Well, not that specifically, but like it was against policy.
Oh yeah, it was definitely against policy.
Delilah's. That's where her guilt.
Yeah, because she could just radio it in and just got him out of there.
Yeah, immediately.
And she even knew that Ned wasn't the greatest guy. They talked about it. But yeah, that body reveal though.
It is very good because, like I said earlier, it's perfect that all the bodies before that, or any person that you see, like when you see Ned on the bridge and like the girls in the distance,
it's just silhouettes.
It's always silhouettes, like
and they don't feel real. They just feel like more props.
You know, at the highest point of you thinking like, oh, I'm gonna figure out what this conspiracy is, and then you just like
turn that corner.
Yeah, you turn that corner, and like
there it is.
Like you just see it, and you're like, that's.
Brian, yeah. That's the
kid.
That's the kid we've been talking about, and it's one of those things where it's like...
Like, why am I seeing this right now?
And you finally associate what you've been talking about the whole time, and you actually get to see the physical reaction of what you've been talking about. It was a good reveal, and it was definitely a turning point to where you're kind of figuring out more and more like, oh, so is Brian a part of the conspiracy? Is Ned a part of the conspiracy?
In the context of playing it from beginning to end, like that was the moment I was just like, wait, why am I seeing this right now? And that was immediate. I was like, but shouldn't there have been like some dumb looking giant computer from like the 60s?
Right.
Like, shouldn't there be like
an evil mastermind?
Aliens?
Yeah, like, evil mastermind or a weird secret Batman escalator.
Like I thought I was gonna walk in and there'd be like a little Shiba Inu on a computer console. But that wasn't there.
No, it was, and again,
even like those little things, like Ned, like closing the door on you and stuff. It's like that's just because he was watching you, like, from paranoia and everything. And and just a quick note, that's one thing that lets me. I'm like, okay, he didn't kill Brian intentionally, because it's the same thing. Like he's like, oh, I want this problem gone. I'm gonna lock this guy into a cave. I'm not going to do anything direct.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not going to kill the guy. I don't have the ability to. I'm not that person.
Yeah, exactly. So, quickly, because if not, seeing the body immediately, like, to me, set that tone. Like, I was just like, okay, I'm contemplating.
To tone of how real it also grounds you back into how real the world is. It's not there's not some weird, crazy conspiracy. There's not some weird overpower Big Brother thing looking after you. It's just one guy, one situation, this one real moment that happens.
Yeah. It's just weird because it posits this thing like that distractions aren't inherently bad. It's just that you're always going to have to come back to it, and whatever is there is still going to be there. Mm-hmm. Like, even things with the girls that ends up not being really what you thought it was, like, they're still alive. They're still a thing. Like, those people still had, like, cabin fever, like the two guys that were corresponding back and forth.
Yeah, those notes.
Distractions, fine. Like, whatever. It was okay. Like, the game, it literally is obviously a distraction because, like, I was kind of going through a thing when I was playing it for the first time, and, like, after the surgery, I watched it again as a distraction. Like, it was just this thing that I could put my time into for a limited amount. Very little happened from it. Like, I mean, obviously I'm contemplating it and doing a video for it. Yeah. But still, like, it possibly will not stay with me forever because it didn't affect me in that way. And that's...
Yeah, the medium becomes life because it becomes a distraction for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
And then, like, all those little, like, all the little details, like that overwhelming paranoia and all those things, like, it just adds to that distraction.
I love the game. Again, I said in the beginning, I love the art style.
Of course.
And just...
It's so solid. Like, I would recommend it to anyone.
The overall game is just so good.
Like, there's no, like, I don't feel like there's an audience barrier other than, like, if you're a hardcore Christian or something and you get offended by words, maybe not.
Anyone.
There's even a line that's just like, ooh, you might want to cut back a little bit.
Yeah, between, like, controls or whatever, it has no barrier of entry. You can play that game pretty simply, even if you've never held a controller before. Yeah. Because it's a walking simulator. I hate that term so much, but that's what it is. It's a great game. I love the story. Ending, after sitting on it, just became better and better. After watching the ending 3 times and seeing the effects of it 3 times, I finally understand it. And I could not recommend this game more.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, this is, again, very impromptu. No script in front of us.
Yeah, there's a thing that comes after this, so I guess whatever, but thanks for watching again.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I know. You didn't really have a choice. You didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Distractions are a part of our lives. Creeping thoughts of our inevitable demise, heavy emotional problems, and guilt. All aspects of our brain's natural function also tear us down and weigh heavily. So sometimes all we can do is escape. Escape into anything else. A relationship, a lover, a job, a mystery, a plight, a conspiracy, a bottle, a mistake. Anything that works. But what was there originally? Whatever caused the shirking off of duty, it will always be there. It has to be revisited. Or else paranoia and a plethora of other terrible circumstances may follow. When it comes to love and relationships with other people, be it wives or children or anyone else, there is no permanent ban or self-exile. It will always be there. Thank you.